Let's take a step back in time to when segregation started. During the Reconstruction era, a famous white actor named Thomas Dartmouth Rice performed a play using blackface. His character's name was Jim Crow, and from that point on, it was used as a derogatory term for African Americans. In 1877, the Supreme Court ruled that the states cannot prohibit segregation on common carriers such as railroads, streetcars, and riverboats. Therefore, whites and blacks must be separated. In 1883, the Supreme Court declared the Civil Rights Act of 1875 unconstitutional, leading to the popular term separate but equal. While whites and blacks were allowed to sit in the same freight cars, they had assigned seats, such as African Americans in the back and whites in the front. This stemmed from Plessy v. Ferguson, a landmark in 1896, when the U.S. Supreme Court handled a case when Homer Plessy, an African American, who refused to sit in the segregated train car, challenging Louisiana's segregation laws. The court ruled that as long as the separate facilities for the races were equal, segregation did not violate any 14th Amendment equal protection clauses. This decision legitimized the Jim Crow laws and institutionalized racial discrimination in the United States for decades. Between 1896 and the 1950s, African Americans were forbidden to have the access to the same places as whites, such as hospitals, churches, bathrooms, schools, parks, businesses, and many more public places. African Americans were also not able to buy houses or property in certain towns and neighborhoods. As well as systematic racism, their sense of hatred against them was prevalent with the KKK, a hate group that advocates for white supremacy and committed hate crimes against African Americans within the United States by lynching. Finally, in 1954, Brown v. Board of Education declared racial segregation in public schools unconstitutional. The court ruled unanimously that separate but equal educational facilities were inherently unequal, thus ending decades of legalized racial segregation in American schools. This decision was pivotal in the civil rights movement as it mandated the desegregation of schools across the United States. In the 1960s, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968. These laws led to the end of the Jim Crow laws and helped African Americans eliminate these separate but equal laws in America. Even though these laws applied to African Americans, men and women, there are two historical events I'd like to point out. On December 1st, 1945, Rosa Parks found a seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama after work. African Americans were forced to sit in the back of the bus as the front was reserved for whites only. After refusing to give up her seat in the white-only section to a white man, she was arrested. This sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, which led to the Supreme Court ruling that segregation on buses was unconstitutional. Another example is Ruby Bridges. She was the only African American child to be admitted into the white elementary school after the state of Louisiana attempted to desegregate. They achieved this by forcing African Americans to test into the white-only schools to see if they were academically prepared. On November 14, 1960, a 6-year-old girl, Ruby Bridges, dressed for school. She had to be escorted by 4 federal marshals because of white protests, people yelling, throwing, and angrily mobbing around Ruby due to her being the African American child that is attending the white-only elementary school. Some of these children's parents even pulled their child out of their school since they did not want their kid to be in the same classroom as Ruby as a protest. Now, let's shift to a popular African American activist and artist named Lorna Simpson. She layers her artwork with strength, tension, and minimalism. She reaches a simple outer layer with a deep core of messages stemming from her personal experience and history. Lorna Simpson was born on August 13, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. After she attended the High School of Art and Design in New York, she studied painting in her undergraduate years. and she slowly switched to photography and traveled to Europe and Africa. She developed her skill at documentary photography while earning an MFA at the University of San Diego. Her images were photo text on the photographs and represented deeper meanings to the artwork. While her photographs had a variety of visuals, they all carried one common trait, usually featuring African American women as the subjects. Not only was Simpson's art perceived as incredible, but it was also positively impacted African Americans since she became the first African American woman to exhibit at the Venice Biennale, an international arts festival. In 1985, Simpson won the National Endowment Award for her work and laid a foundation for African American women in the art field. While Lorna Simpson has many pieces of powerful artwork, let's focus on 3. In 1994, Lorna Simpson created 3, which was a case of 3 wishbone outlets cut deep in the piece of felt, made from wood, ceramic, bronze, and lithographic. The smooth brown box reveals 3 wishbones, an object that symbolizes luck, hope, and endless possibilities. Next to the box, propped up, is another piece of wood. Painted on it is a wishbone, understating wish number 1, wish number 2, and wish number 3. This art stuck out to me, showing representation of the strength African Americans needed to have being segregated and oppressed in America. Through these 2 women and many other stories, Simpson's artwork shows a deeper meaning and appreciation for what these women in Ruby Bridges and Rosa Parks did for people to not only stand up for African Americans in America, but to ignite a movement that aims to eliminate racism in our society. The Civil Rights era marked the turning point in the constant struggle of African Americans in the United States due to the Jim Crow laws, systematic segregation, and societal racism. While racism is still prevalent today, our progress as a society is highly attributed to people like Ruby Bridges and Rosa Parks who used their strength and sacrifice their lives to make other African Americans' lives better in America and so forth. Artists like Lorna Simpson echo their stories, further pushing their agenda in an attempt to remove racism from society by using history, art, and stories to inspire them and inform today's society about what is right and wrong in our world. Lorna Simpson continues to grow as an artist, as she has shifted her focus to video installations. Since 2015, she has been debuting paintings as well, being featured in many festivals and popular art pieces that represent African American women around the world about their struggles, drawing attention to the support of the issue that is still very prevalent in our society today.